ज्योतिष का ज्ञान यह रे रहस्य Astrology's knowledge deep as sea नक्षत्र कहानियाँ कहता यहाँ Constellations tell their stories to thee कुंडलिनी जगाओ आत्मा जागृत करो Awaken Kundalini, let your spirit rise ऊर्जा भीतर से बहती है Energy flows from deep inside
Hello and welcome to the Astro Tarot Report for December 23rd, 2024. We'll be covering this week's horoscope. Generally speaking, for everyone, we'll not be looking at individual signs and planets and all that. We'll be looking at the collective chart for everyone on the whole. All right, so let's dive into this here. Again, I'm Tony Victor, if you're not familiar with me, and I divine based on using tarot and astrology. I use my own system that's been developed out of the Fourth Way system as well as the Golden Dawn system combined. So it is a new system, but it is very accurate. It's drawn upon the deccan system of the Golden Dawn. If you're not familiar with that, you might want to look it up. It'll give you a little bit of background on how the system was developed. It kind of extrapolates based on the deccan system in terms of the minor arcana, and it utilizes the major arcana in terms of the planets and the signs, generally speaking, as most people are familiar with them. So that being said, let's look at the 23rd, and we're going to go into our aspect chart here. So with the 23rd, we just have one aspect that we'll be looking at in particular, which will be Moon trine Jupiter, Moon at 14 degrees Libra, and Jupiter at 14 degrees Gemini. So for that sign, we have the Seven of Swords and the Four of Swords. So those two air signs combined together with our Moon and Jupiter. So a nice kind of, in terms of the feeling of it, it's a feeling of easiness, Jupiter being the planet of abundance and well-being, good health, good fortune in terms of the trine. And then the Moon is that feeling involved in that emotion. So there's a welling up, a sense of good emotion, good health, good fortune. And then we take a look at the cards that are paired with the minor arcana. We have the Four of Swords, which generally is illness, but it could be recovering from an illness because of the ease of Jupiter in this particular case. And then you have your Seven of Swords, so recovery of something. So I would say recovery of health. If you've been ill for a while, now is a good time to recover from it. So, well, you see the gentleman taking the swords and carrying them away. It's typically associated with theft, perhaps, but in this case, I see it as recuperation, recovering lost or stolen goods. It can be that too, but altogether with these other cards, I see it as being a recovery of health, especially considering the Four of Swords and the Seven of Swords together, paired with the Moon and the Jupiter as a trine. So we're looking at these complex combinations of cards and planets. The planets are also cards too, but we are not covering that. We are, if you would like to find out what they are, if you're not familiar with them, you can look that up online, the major arcana as they relate to astrological signs. Eventually, I will put them up on my resource page on my website, quicksilverastrology.com. And you can also find my YouTube at my YouTube channel is also under the same name, Quicksilver Astrology. So please do like, subscribe, and comment. Okay, so that's the 23rd. Now we're going to go into the 24th. We start off with the recovery of health, as we said, on the 23rd. And so we have two aspects to look at on the 24th. We're going to start with the Moon trine Venus. Moon's at 19 degrees of Libra, and Venus is at 19 degrees of Aquarius. Okay, so two emotional planets here for us mostly. Venus also having to do with wealth in some cases, love, devotion, and the Moon kind of strengthens those as in a positive way because it's a trine. So with that being said, we have the Three of Swords, and the Seven of Swords. Excuse me, Six of Swords. So the Six of Swords and Three of Swords together. Generally speaking, Three of Swords is not a good card in most circumstances. It's a card of suffering. It could also be conscious suffering. That's a different story entirely. But then you have your Six of Swords, which is moving away. So I see this as positive. Last week was quite a tough week in terms of the aspects that we had. And those were some difficult squares, difficult oppositions. But this week we have some trines, and things are starting off better at the beginning of the week. And we're moving away from suffering. We're taking a long journey, a trip away from it. Could be physical, could be metaphorical. Just moving away from stuff that really, makes us not feel too good. I guess let's say it that way. Okay, let's be positive about this, especially considering the fact that it is a trine with the moon and Venus. So moving away from negative feelings towards better feelings, because last week was tough for us, and we're going to start feeling better. We can learn how to move past that. Okay. All right. So the next aspect we'll be looking at Jupiter square Saturn. Okay. So we do have a square, and Jupiter is something that makes things big. So Saturn's long term. It could be a long-term problem made big. It could be that, or just something that just kind of becomes a glaring issue that needs to be worked on. And for our particular aspect, the Jupiter is at 14 degrees of Gemini, so that's our air sign there, and Saturn is 14 degrees Pisces, our water sign. So we're going to deal with a air sign being the swords, and the water sign being the cups in our particular aspect generation for the minor arcana. Okay, so with the Four of Swords, we have again we just talked about this for the 23rd. It can be about illness. It can be about isolation, solitude, rest, relaxation, even vacation. Really, it could be that too. But the Four of Cups is about kind of rejecting something, rejecting an offer. Maybe it's sitting in peace and quiet and solitude. That's also a solitary card. So I see a lot of solitary things. So in terms of us putting together a story here out of what the aspect is trying to tell us, Saturn is also a card about isolation, and Jupiter is squaring that. So I don't think it's necessarily a problem so much as it's just us really wanting to spend a lot of time by ourselves right now. So not a great time, being that it's Christmas Eve that day, and you'll likely spend time with family if you celebrate. But yeah, other than that, you might feel alone. If you are spending time with family, you could still feel alone even though you're with others. So that is a possibility. It is a solitudinous combination. Even though there's multiple cards there, it boils down to solitude, being solitary. It can also be about meditation, meditative practices. Those two cards together can very much be that. So maybe take it in a positive way, and you can transform that energy into something uplifting as opposed to something that feels negative and feeling down and out by yourself. You can definitely transform that energy as an upside to that combination. Okay, so we don't have to use that square in a negative way. It can become something positive if we know how to work with the energy. And that's something I'm going to be working with in terms of going forward. I'm going to, I'll just say last week, after just having this week go by, I did rewatch the last video I put out and just had to see how accurate everything is in terms of one's own life, So looking at my own life, not just trying to look at things for everyone, but looking at things for myself too, really, because it needs to be practical, right? So examine things for yourself, see how it lines up with your life. There's going to be something that makes sense. If it's not the exact reading for you, there may be something similar in terms of what I'm saying. You'll feel that this is a general horoscope for everyone. A lot of these things are going on in people's lives. It doesn't have to be the exact same, and there are going to be differences considering the fact that your chart is your chart. And this is not everyone's chart. This is a generalization of the energies that we're all experiencing right now, which will be colored through the eyes and energies of your chart. So do keep that in mind as we move forward. Okay. So we're moving on now to December 25th, okay? So Christmas Day. And we have two more aspects to look at there. And we're going to go pull them up now. So Moon square Pluto. And I'll be covering Pluto a lot lately. And it'll be very similar in terms of the energy for a while, because that Pluto is going to sit right at 0 degrees. Well, until it moves. I'm not sure exactly when it comes out of that degree off the top of my head, but it's been sitting there for a while, and I think it'll be sitting there for a while longer. So Moon square Pluto, Moon at 0 degrees Scorpio, and Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius. 0 degrees Aquarius is where that Pluto has been sitting for a good while. We have the Five of Swords, that's our Pluto position, and we have the Five of Cups, okay, which is our Moon position in Scorpio. So deep feelings of sadness, it can be that, with that Five of Cups, deep feelings of mourning. It can also be related to someone passing. It can be a collective loss, considering the fact that Pluto's in Aquarius, and we have this Five of Cups experience through the lunar energy. It's one of those things where we're going to feel a large loss of sort. We feel it collectively as the human race. We feel something going on. We feel like we're losing something. But we have to look through the positive things of that. What's going to come out of it? And the Five of Swords, yeah, it's a tough card. It can be about retreating from things. It's a stormy mood. It's recovering something though too. Perhaps there's that Seven of Swords aspect as well as a Five of Swords aspect, which can be about recovery. So recovery from something. Okay, and Scorpio is about addiction. It can be about that too, recovering from some sort of addiction. But the fact that this is a square, this is a tough situation, so maybe it can be a tough type of recovery from something. And that's kind of what I'm getting out of this. So it's a difficult aspect to make look positive. Really, the Five of Swords is not a good card no matter how you look at it. But Pluto is about transformation, so there is always an opportunity for positive transformation through Pluto. Pluto is not a bad planet. Pluto is something that it can also be about wealth, hidden wealth. So we have to take the hidden good out of the bad, okay? So that's a positive way to look at it there. So find what that is for you. So Moon square Mars, Moon at 3 degrees Scorpio, and Mars at 3 degrees Leo. We have for our aspects the Eight of Cups and the Eight of Wands. Okay, so let's take a look at this Mars here. This Mars is wanting us to take action, but it's a difficult action to take because it's a square. So it's wanting to take a journey. It's having some infatuation or some great idea of wanting to leave or move away from something, a spiritual journey of sorts. It could be that. Leaving something behind, continuing on with a process of some sorts. Okay, so, but it's going to be something immediate, more immediate because it is Mars. It's a faster moving planet, something physical in the world of actions. Okay, so what that is, it's going to be hard to say. That can be a number of things. The Eight of Wands wants us to move towards something quickly. So it can be a need to get away from something fast. And being that Mars is a faster moving planet, it can definitely be wanting to take that action sooner rather than later. Okay? And then the next day, we'll be looking at the 26th. So there's only one aspect on that day, but the rest of the week's very busy. So we'll be getting to that soon. So the 26th, though, we have just the one Moon trine Saturn. Okay, so Moon trine Saturn. Moon is at 14 degrees of Scorpio, giving us a 10 of Cups, and Saturn is at 14 degrees of Pisces, giving us the 4 of Cups. Okay, so we're wanting to take a break from something we've been involved with for a long time. That's Saturn. And so the fantasy that we had about something The greater idealization of something we've had no longer suits us. We don't want it anymore. What we thought we wanted, we really don't want. That's what I'm getting out of this aspect here. The Ten of Cups is about beauty. It can be about family. It can be, so maybe you decide not to have kids. Hey, financial times are tough. It could be that too. It could definitely manifest in that way. Deciding not to raise a family, and that's but it is something easy. So maybe you decide that that's better. Okay, the try doesn't mean has to be good. It can just be better. Okay, so a better decision to be made. That could be that. Turning something down, as I said. Resting and relaxation for the to bring about great happiness. It could be that too. Okay, so there are a lot of things that could be happening here with this aspect, and I think I'll leave it at that. Those are some pretty wide interpretations there, but any number of those things could very well happen. Okay. Now, the 27th is quite a busy day. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip here of my sparkling water. So, Moon square Venus, 22 degrees of Scorpio is where the moon sits, giving us our Nine of Cups. And then for our air card, Venus at 22 degrees of Aquarius, we have the Nine of Swords. So, difficult card. What do we get out of this? So, Venus is very emotional, and Venus at Aquarius is not in a great position for the Nine of Swords. It's a very emotional card, and not in a good way. Over emotional about something, and I see this as kind of being something that we had this great idealization, and this is very similar to the last reading we had. Something we've enjoyed a lot, we no longer enjoy. That could be that, or it could also be overindulgence that makes us sick, because Nine of Swords can also be about illness, and the Nine of Cups can be about overindulgence. So watch what you eat on the 27th. Please be careful. That could end up making you ill. So foodborne illness, stuff like that, that's not out of the question, okay? That could very well happen. And we're going to go to our next aspect here. And we're going to be looking at the Four of Wands and the Four of Cups. And where does that manifest? That manifests as the Mercury square Saturn aspect pattern. Mercury's at 14 degrees Sagittarius. Saturn is at 14 degrees of Pisces. So for that fire energy, we're getting the Four of Wands. And for our water energy in Pisces, we get that Four of Cups. So what does that mean? It looks like a turning down an offer for a party or a celebration. You don't want to be involved in this celebration. Or it could be not the right time to bring something to a successful end. It could be graduations, commencements, parties. Not necessarily it's a graduation this time of year, but there's lots of things going on in terms of celebrations, and that's that Four of Wands. And so with the squaring pattern, yeah, that makes that the difficult, not wanting to do it. And Mercury's that communication card. So yeah, it's a party. It's something that you've been expecting to do for a long time. Maybe your just heart's not in it and you don't want to do it. So maybe you got an invitation a while back because of that Saturn. Mercury's maybe that invitation and you're deciding not to go for whatever reason. Your heart's not in it. You're just not feeling it. Okay, so it could be that. Then we're going to move on to the next one. There's a few more aspects here in this. This day is quite a big day in terms of the moon. So moon opposition Uranus. Moon at 23 degrees of Scorpio, giving us a 10 of Cups. And Uranus, 23 degrees of Taurus, giving us the 10 of Pentacles. So this has family written all over it here, with the 10 of Cups and 10 of Pentacles. Both are very family-oriented cards, especially when together. This over-idealization, it could be the best of both. It could be the best of all worlds, though, with the 10 of Cups. So it could be a great family, something having to do with family, and in a good way. So you have the 23, excuse me, that moon energy with the opposition of Uranus. So, but what's an opposition here though? Maybe it's one person's idealization over something more practical and stable. So it could be at odds in terms of what the family wants to do versus what other people's ideas are. It doesn't have to be about the family though. It can be over idealization of an institution. Maybe there's somebody has thinks of something, has this grand vision of this institution they're involved with, a corporation, a government. It could be government. It could be long-standing societies. It's a number of things. I mean, the ten of Pentacles is long-standing edifices. So think of it that way. What is a long-standing edifice? Edifice, something's been standing for a long time. Not necessarily a physical thing. It can be an organization of people, a group of people. It could be even a nonprofit. Okay, it can be any number of things. But yeah, there's that unpredictability of that oppositional energy. So maybe it's unpredictable in terms of how somebody's going to react to what your idea of doing something is, or not doing something, or what something is or what something isn't. So Cups is that emotion, and the Pentacles are very practical. So it's how we feel about something in the physical reality, and that can kind of get in the way of each other, one's person's view versus another person's view. Okay, so that is that. Moving on to the next aspect, which is Moon trine Neptune. So we'll be looking at the Five of Cups, which is Moon 27 degrees Scorpio, and our Eight of Cups, which is Neptune 27 degrees Pisces. So this is Moon trine Neptune. So something easy to move on from. I feel like we're moving away from loss, okay? We're still kind of not happy about it, but we're able to move on from it, and that's what makes it easy with that trine. And Neptune is very deep emotion. Moon is going to play into that in terms of the emotion. And it's a very emotional thing for us, something we really have been suffering with from a long time, and only now are we able to move on from it. Okay. And our last aspect of this day, which is a big day, okay, with all these lunar aspects, Moon trine Mars. Moon at 3 degrees Sagittarius, giving us the Two of Wands, and Mars at 3 degrees Leo, giving us the Eight of Wands. So it's an easy action for us with trine, with the Mars trine. Something easy to do, easy decision to be made, and we make it swiftly. We make it quickly. We make it quickly with the Two of Wands. There's two decisions to be made. So it looks like we can go left. Looks like we can go right. But it is an opportunity, and it happens fast for us. So we have to make a split decision, perhaps. It could be that too, making a split decision in the heat of the moment. But it does seem like it's easy to make, and it doesn't seem negative. It seems positive. So I think only good things could come out of it. Let's hope for the best. And now we come to the 28th, okay? And the 28th, we're going to start off with our Venus square Uranus aspect. And that is a little bit tough, okay? Venus at 23 degrees Aquarius is the 10 of Swords, and Uranus at 23 degrees Taurus. That makes our square here. So between those two cards, what am I seeing? Uranus is very emotional. Feels like you just feel like you're done. That's how the Ten of Swords feels. It feels like you're done with something. So with the square in Uranus, things didn't play out the way we had expected them to. I think that's what's going to happen here. And maybe it's the end of an organization, an institution, something that has to do with family. It can be the end of that. It can be the end of a big, long-standing thing. Who knows what that is? Okay, but it's in Taurus, so that's going to be some sort of long-standing thing. I'm feeling that. And it is perhaps it has to do with old money. Okay, Uranus can also be about wealth too, so something unpredictable. That could even be the square thing. That could, I mean, it might be unusual, but not completely. It can be a windfall here. Uranus is the card of windfall, so it could be someone passing away and you getting an inheritance, old money. It could be that too. People may experience that during this time. It may be kind of far, kind of a shot in the dark in a manner of speaking, but that is Uranus. Uranus is about shots in the dark. They are um, a very unpredictable. That's a very unpredictable energy. So that metaphor of a shot in the dark, that's Uranus in a nutshell, right there. Okay, so moving on though to the next aspect, we're going to be looking at Moon opposition Jupiter. Okay, so what we have with this is the Moon at 13 degrees Sagittarius, giving us the Three of Wands, and the Jupiter at 13 degrees Gemini, giving us the Three of Swords. And Jupiter is not in a good place here in Gemini. That Three of Swords is suffering. So it's a lot of suffering. Something you planned on doing might not end up going so well. So maybe you just better off canceling that plan, okay? Because it could definitely go south. So if you have big plans that day, on the 28th, you might want to reconsider those plans. And you might want to do something else. So anything that's big and related to something communication wise, try not to do it if you can avoid it. I would say that's probably the best advice I can give you on that based on the cards I'm seeing. Okay, Gemini is about communication, interaction, and the Three of Swords is about heartbreak and suffering. So, yeah, Gemini is our lover's card. So yeah, it could be not a good day to, if you're planning on having a date, that's not a good day to do it. Okay, that can kind of blow up in your face, in a manner of speaking. So let's move on to the next aspect. Hopefully that's a little more positive. We'll be looking at the Moon squaring Saturn. So Moon is at 14 degrees Sagittarius. Saturn's at 14 degrees Pisces. So for a Moon at 14 degrees, we're getting the Four of Wands, which is a positive card. And Saturn at 14 degrees of Pisces is our Four of Cups. So that water energy meets the fire energy. We have the Four of Wands, a celebration, a rite of passage, a finish line, a goal. And the Four of Cups being rest, solitude, relaxation, recuperation, rejuvenation, meditation, solitudinous, solitary, just being solitary. It's similar to the Four of Swords, but in a different way. Kind of, you've had enough, and now I need to be solitary because I've had enough. So you might have had enough partying. It's been a long week of partying, but it's not done yet. Oh no, it's not New Year's Eve. We haven't made it that far yet. So don't quit now. You may feel like you want to quit, but I don't know if you will. That's up to you. So that's, the Four of Wands and the Four of Cups. Keep that in mind. It may be time for some rest and relaxation. Long due with the Saturn, there. And I think I just summed it up pretty well by saying we're not done yet. That's that square. You know you're going to keep going. That's probably a lot of people, okay? The party's there. You don't have to go to it, but you may just end up going to it anyways and suffering the consequences later. Okay, so that leaves us with our last conjunction, our last aspect of the day, and that's going to be Moon conjunct Mercury. Moon is at 16 degrees Sagittarius, as is Mercury. All right, and Mercury here, Mercury and the Moon are going to both fall in the degree placement that's going to give us the Six of Wands. And what does the Six of Wands mean with this? Okay, so Mercury's swiftness, but there's that emotional energy. It's a conjunction. It's a blending of energies. So it's a swift emotional energy, and you feel victorious. Okay, I see that as a positive thing right there. Six of Wands is usually a very positive card, especially on its own, without any coloration. It's a card of leadership, a card of charging forward. Yeah, having others follow behind you. And I see that as a good thing, okay? So how that manifests, who knows, but it is forward onto victory, as always with the Six of Wands. So there's nothing else that contradicts that. So I think quite simply letting that stand alone is a good thing here. And then after that, we're getting down to the very last aspect on the 29th. Okay, so we're due for a new moon. It's right around the corner the very next day. So I'll be giving that report soon, the new moon report, and see what energies will be set for that day. I may just end up rolling it into all into one because it does fall on the first day of the first report, the first day of the report as well. So, with that being said, the 29th gives us our one and only square and aspect of the entire day. That is Moon square Neptune. Moon at 27 degrees Sagittarius and Neptune at 27 degrees Pisces. So the Moon gives us the Eight of Wands, while Neptune gives us the Eight of Cups. And again, we've had this aspect before, I believe this week earlier, where we've had the Eight of Wands. At least we've had this energy going on, if not, yeah, oh yeah, actually right next to it on the 25th, yeah. So it's basically going to play out similarly, okay? Need to get away quickly, need to relax, need to recuperate, need to recover. And that's what that is about, especially with that square. And it's very emotional. Need to get away, need to recuperate, need to recover. I hope you guys got time off because it's a very emotional time and we're feeling this energy very heavily, it seems like this week. But things are turning around and we're making positive transformation. Pluto is a catalyst. It doesn't need to be negative. So think about that. I know Pluto came up earlier. It seems like it's a tough thing. There's a lot of tough energy in this chart, but there was more last week. So this week should definitely be easier. I'm feeling that with all the trines and kind of these cards that they fall on. Kind of the more difficult cards seem like they're trined pretty positively. Or at least the trine's going to make them softer. So this week's going to be better, I think, and especially since it's the holidays too. So we'll have a little bit of time off, and we'll have be able to get that space that we need this week. I think that's what's important, is taking space and recuperating, recovering. Yes, do celebrate, but don't go overboard. Again, that 27th energy there with the Nine of Cups and the Nine of Swords. Don't overindulge too much. And that's kind of the theme of the week, is don't overindulge too much. You will be feeling that hangover there. That's also the Four of Cups. So that's scattered all over the place this week. Tons of that going on. So definitely watch what you're eating, watch what you're drinking, and focus on rest and recuperation. I think that's a good way to end it right there. All right, well, thanks for watching. That is this week's Astro Tarot Report. Stay tuned for next week's report and the new moon report coming up, okay? Like, subscribe, and comment. And again, if you're not familiar, I'm Tony Victor. My YouTube channel is Quicksilver Astrology, and also my website is quicksilverastrology.com. Do check it out. We have that new tarot deck available. It's available for purchase. There's been some issues with the website. I'm trying to get that fixed. So thanks again for watching. See you next time.
ज्योतिष का ज्ञान यह रे रहस्य Astrology's knowledge deep as sea नक्षत्र कहानियाँ कहता यहाँ Constellations tell their stories to thee कुंडलिनी जगाओ आत्मा जागृत करो Awaken Kundalini, let your spirit rise ऊर्जा भीतर से बहती है Energy flows from deep inside